Hey everybody, it's Cosmata here, and don't worry, these Skyrim videos are still happening, but seeing as Star Wars Episode 9 is coming out soon, I really wanted to do a video on what I think is going to happen in the next movie. I'm going to break down all the reasons why I think Rey is the chosen one, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be right about this one. So let's get right into this video. I got my shitty Darth Vader hat and my shitty Toys R Us lightsaber. Let's get into this. If we look back at our repressed memories of Episode 1, we remember Anakin's mom talking to Qui-Gon about how Anakin is basically Jesus Christ. It's not very hard to come to this conclusion when Anakin's mom tells Qui-Gon that there was no father and that he was basically conceived by a god. That god being the Force and Jesus being Anakin. So it's not hard to realize that Darth Vader is obviously Jesus. Basically, Anakin's mom is Mother Mary in that she doesn't have to do it in order to have a baby. Implying that Anakin is conceived by a god, Qui-Gon insists that he is the chosen one. The one who will bring balance to the Force, peace and prosperity to the galaxy. But we all know how that turns out. So you're probably asking, if Darth Vader's Jesus, how does that make Rey Jesus too? Well, I'm glad you asked that question. There's been some recent discoveries in the Star Wars canon, in which the Darth Vader comic, issue number 25, reveals that Palpatine did in fact manipulate the Force to conceive Darth Vader. So if Darth Vader was created by Palpatine and not an actual god, then that would only mean that Darth Vader's not actually Jesus, but he is in fact
a false god.
Well, no, he'd be more of a false Jesus, actually. But nice try, Teal. You'll get your chance to say it, don't worry. Because if Darth Vader was created by Palpatine, that means he wasn't created by an actual god, and was instead created by the dark side of the Force. And I know, the Chosen One was never supposed to necessarily be either good or bad, but an incarnation of the dark side sounds a lot more to me like Palpatine's ambitions, rather than the will of the Force itself. And knowing Darth Vader, it would add up too. He was always angry and impulsive. He killed people when they were unarmed. It was as if he always had some kind of innate darkness within him. The only reason we ever accepted it was because we already knew what he was going to become. So it would honestly make a lot of sense if he was born from the dark side. It would kind of explain a lot of things too.
Indeed.
If we take a look at a quote from the Chosen One prophecy, it states that a vessel of pure force the Chosen One will be. And I think that if Darth Vader was created by Palpatine, that wouldn't really make him so much of a vessel of the Force as it would make him more of a product. Especially since so many people in Star Wars Episode 1 like to imply that the Chosen One will be born of the Force and not so much someone wielding the Force.
It is possible he was conceived by the midichlorians.
So now that Palpatine has been revealed in the trailer for Star Wars Episode 9, a lot of people think that Rey actually might have been conceived in the same way as Darth Vader. I don't think so. What I think is actually happening is that Rey is in fact
the Chosen One.
No, not that Chosen One. No, not that Chosen One.
The Chosen One.
No. Rey is the actual Chosen One, and Darth Vader was a lie. Basically what I think happened is that Palpatine, just like any other Jedi, knew about the prophecy and took the opportunity to manipulate the situation to his advantage. He created Darth Vader under the guise that he was the actual Chosen One, which in fact he was not, because obviously he didn't do a very good job at being Jesus. So could there be another actual demigod out there just waiting to be, I don't know, awakened? Because if Darth Vader isn't the actual Chosen One, that would only mean the original Chosen One prophecy is still up for grabs. Now, of course you could argue that Anakin did bring balance to the Force, but did he really? I mean, it seems like the dark side are in the Jedi position now, and the Jedi aren't even around anymore. If anything, Darth Vader set the dark side up in an even better position than the Jedi, with no opposition to their rule. And yet he still never truly destroyed either the light side or the dark side. For if Palpatine has returned, that would only forfeit Vader's contribution to the prophecy, as the Sith haven't truly been destroyed.
Only now, at the end, do stand.
Indeed.
In the Chosen One prophecy, it states that ultimate balance will be restored. And so that really makes me wonder, is this just going to happen over and over again? I mean, if we're talking about ultimate balance here, what makes this any different from any other balance that's been established already? I mean, could we say that KOTOR brought balance to the Force? Because all the Jedi got killed there and it was pretty balanced. The light side and the dark side are still at war. And sure, you can blame Disney as much as you want, but the EU had plenty of dark Jedi. The struggle between these two forces has never truly been resolved in either the EU or the canon. So it begs the question, is this what ultimate balance is supposed to look like? Just the same thing happening over again? To bring true balance to the Force, the Chosen One cannot be born unto either the light or the dark, but a true neutral Force entity. And we can see an example of this in Star Wars Rebels Season 3 when the Force-sensitive entity Bendu talks to Kanan.
Your imbalance woke me from a deep slumber.
Imbalance?
Jedi and Sith wield the Ashlar and Bogan, the light and the dark. I'm the one in the middle.
Now, that's not to say that Rey is completely neutral herself, but she's not really a Jedi either. Not to mention that in the new trailer we see Dark Rey, which will be essential if she wants to create a new balanced order of Force users. Now, this is all just speculation, and I'm not saying it's gonna happen for sure. And I'm certainly not trying to go against the will of George Lucas, or deny his original vision for how Vader did fulfill the prophecy. I'm simply stating how I think Disney's gonna play this card. The new comics are canon now, so if this is true, it's something we have to seriously consider. The idea that Palpatine created Vader to impersonate the Chosen One wouldn't be that much of a stretch outside the realm of possibility, and would have worked greatly to his advantage in infiltrating the Jedi Council. However, if Palpatine were to create another Chosen One, I think he'd be a little more careful about it, and he would have done everything in his power to make sure that she grew to maturity. From what we've heard about her parents, it sounds like they ditched her and left her for dead. It doesn't sound like anyone knew about Rey, and she was discovered when her Force abilities were starting to manifest. I mean, think about it. Everything we've learned about Rey's parents up to this point would be pretty conclusive with that theory. I mean, we never really hear much about her parents specifically. Heck, in the first movie, she only really says she's waiting for her family. And in the second movie, the only people who say anything about her parents are probably inclined to lie to her. There may have been two parents, but there may have been one. The point is, they had an unintentional baby. All we really know is that they ditched her on some desert planet, probably because they never wanted to have a baby and they're too poor. And they're probably walking along, minding their own business, and all of a sudden they have this baby and they're like, I'm poor. I don't have money for a baby. I need money for space cocaine.
They're filthy junk traders.
Because I'm a filthy junk trader and we all do space cocaine. I mean, that likely sounds like what probably happened. But in all seriousness, there is the possibility that her parents somehow knew she was the Chosen One and knew Palpatine would be hunting her, so they ditched her because of that. Or they knew Palpatine created her, and they ditched her because of that. Either way, I think they were running away from Palpatine, and I think they were trying to hide her for a reason. Palpatine is likely a Force ghost by now, and he's probably searching for her because he knows that the true Chosen One will be born one day. I don't think he's a clone. I think he's taken his spirit and perhaps possessed the body of another person, like the spirit of Marka Ragnos. However, if Palpatine is a Force ghost now, I doubt he would have created Rey and just left her there for so long. Force ghosts are not all powerful, but they can have an influence on mortal events, as we can see with Exar Kun on the Massassi Temple of Yavin 4 when his spirit is reawakened and he starts to train Dark Jedi. I mean, even Obi-Wan trained Luke a little bit as a Force ghost, and Yoda blew up a tree. This is why I don't think Rey was created by Palpatine at all, because if she was, he would have trained her right off the bat. Now, I think most of the movie is going to establish the illusion that Rey was created by Palpatine, and I think that's going to make up for like a good 90% of the plot twist of the movie. Palpatine's probably going to show up in the middle of the movie and tell Rey that he created her, and Rey's likely going to believe this for most of the movie, until the end, when Rey likely goes to some kind of Jedi temple and discovers, I don't know, some kind of mural carving on a wall.
He's Dovahkiin, Dragonborn.
And it's gonna go on about how, there was this prophecy, and it's basically about Jesus, but he's in space, or her parents are gonna show up after that and tell her that she's the chosen one. And then the movie's gonna end, and everyone's gonna be like, yay, you know. I want to talk about Rey and Kylo's Force bond for a minute. Now, if you watch The Last Jedi, you'll know that this is a major part of the second movie, and is seemingly unexplained till about halfway through the movie when Snoke tries to claim responsibility for it. However, we all know that's not true, and was likely used as a ruse to make Snoke seem more powerful. For after he dies, the bond still lingers. Now, this is what really got me thinking about this whole demigod thing. I mean, you have to ask yourself, where does this bond come from? And I think the reason they're focusing on this Force bond so much is that this is going to be the red herring of the new trilogy. Now, there are two possibilities here. The first is that Palpatine actually did create Rey, and if that's the case, then that would make Rey the child of Palpatine, and Kylo the child of Palpatine. Which would mean that Rey and Kylo are ultimately connected to Palpatine. However, the second is that Palpatine orchestrated this Force bond all along so he could convince Rey that he created her. When in fact, she was created by an actual god. Which would make Rey the child of a god, and Kylo the child of a false god. Yes, exactly. Thank you, Teal'c.
Star Wars.
Don't ever speak to me again. This would also explain how she utterly pwned Kylo in the first movie. Now I have to admit, I absolutely hated this part when I first watched the movie, as did a lot of people as well, I think. But out of all the internet's complaints, this is one I truly agreed with.
How can you just do that, Rey? How the hell can you just whip out ninja lightsaber moves like that, Rey? How can you do that, huh? Have you even played Jedi Academy before? Do you even know how freaking hard Jedi Academy is? I got killed over like 100 times in my first free-for-all match. You just whip out lightsaber moves. I'm playing Jedi Academy.
But after thinking about this, I slowly started to realize that maybe there's a reason why she's so OP. And that reason is because Rey may possibly be the most powerful Jedi that has ever existed. Rey is literally the Force incarnate.
1,000 generations live in you now.
That's why the movie is called The Force Awakens. The Force birthed itself. See, everyone on YouTube is so obsessed about who Rey's parents are. They're not thinking about who Rey's parents aren't. Because you see, if Rey is this powerful, a simple bloodline hierarchy wouldn't really cut it. The fact that a completely novice Jedi, someone who has never even used the Force, can defeat a fully trained Dark Jedi, there's something more to it. You ever wonder why Disney never explains why Rey is so powerful? You ever wonder why Rey is more powerful than any Jedi in history?
Indeed.
Okay, aside from that, call it bad writing if you want, but I think Disney has this planned out. And sure, you can blame Rian Johnson as much as you want, but just because JJ gave him a script and allowed him to edit it with creative control doesn't mean there wasn't any kind of creative consulting or creative focus groups that went over key points of the movie. And the new comics are canon now, so it kind of already implies that Disney's going to change it anyways. I mean, they wouldn't really be making this series if they didn't have something grand planned out for Rey already. Now, I know that Lucas has stated that Anakin is the actual chosen one, and a lot of people would probably be pissed about this if Disney changed it, but Legends aren't canon for a reason anymore, and honestly, seems like a logical choice for Disney at this point, you know? Her parents are obscure, she's ultimately powerful, and it would be a good ending point, you know? The struggle is finally resolved. And it would shed some light on arguably the most controversial topic in the lore, and we would finally get some answers. One more thing, if you're not convinced yet, the last piece to this theory is here. The final, confirming piece of information that The Last Jedi tells us. Rey's Force vision. We've all seen it. Rey confronts the dark side as Luke did before her, and near the end of her vision, she asks who her parents are, and two figures emerge, and slowly start walking towards both Rey and each other until they become one being. That being is the Force, and the Force is Rey. The vision is right there, telling us how Rey's parents are an inconsequential part of the equation. Rey's parents are Rey because Rey conceived herself, because Rey is the Force. Anyways, thanks for watching the video. I hope it didn't ruin the movie for you. I haven't done one of these vlog videos in a while, and I hope to do some more. The next Skyrim video is coming up soon, so stay tuned for that, because it's gonna be good. Make sure to slightly caress that like button, and I will see you all in the future.